Good morning. I'd like to welcome everyone to MAPA 2017 and thank you for attending our program about what we're doing at Lasar. At Lasar, we offer a full Mooney Service Center experience with customer satisfaction our major focus. We offer everyday service actions such as oil changes, tire changes, 50-hour, 100-hour inspections, pre-buys, AD research, and annual inspections. I want to back up a minute to this pre-buy subject. Please take this service offer as serious as an engine loss in IFR. We've seen aircraft that people bring in for their first annual after they purchased an aircraft that didn't have a pre-buy inspection. The results are nothing short of horrible. Leaking fuel tanks, cracked engine mounts, cracked engine cases, worn out shock disc, worn out lowered engine mounts, ADs not complied with, aircrafts that are out of rig both in the landing gear and the flight control system. So please don't forget this very important step of having a pre-buy done. Other services offered are corrosion X treatment, landing gear actuator repairs, the famous service bulletin M20-282 no back spring replacements. We carry overhauled motors for all the actuators in stock. The service instruction SI20-112 for the 40-to-1 gear upgrades. And weighing of aircraft, weight and balance updates. We have an avionics installation person on staff. He does IFR, VFR, and transponder certifications. But if you want any information on that, you need to contact Robert Brown, the head of the service department. Myself, I'm the manager at the parts department there. I have assistants Dave Nolan in shipping, and sales and marketing, Corinne. We have a full service parts department. We try to keep the everyday things in stock. Your annual inspection items, your fuel system seals, air filters, oil filters, vacuum system filters, landing gear items, shock discs, all your bushings, your rod ends, retract rods, and so on. Let's take a minute to talk about high use items. We see on a high volume use all day long. Probably at the top of the list would be in the nose steering area. The steering horn is one of the most commonly ordered items from the early pre-69 style that's offered to the late 69 to current model production. They're all the same. We also have the upgraded with the body that has had a bushing installed to the body, heat treated, T-shaft installed. Both the early and the late styles are all shimmed to the spec that the factory wants, ready to install. I always encourage shops and owners alike to order all the associated installation hardware that goes along with the steering horn. You have a male and a female rod end that are married to each other, and the attached hardware to put it into the top of the nose truss. Make sure that it stays lubed. That's the one mistake we see all the time. It's an ugly area. It's way up in the nose gear that's oily from the engine that drips a little bit. People don't want to get up in there. Wipe it off, get up in there and grease it. Probably the second most often parts ordered are clear at the other end of the aircraft, back in the tail. The little short trim link, or saddle as we call it. There's a long version, a short version. They both use the same bolts, fore and aft, and there's a bushing back there. As you go from the front of the airplane to the rear of the airplane, there's your high use items.
What did you call the trim? What name did you call that?
The parts book calls it a link.
Trim link, is it?
Yes. It goes from the jack screw to the empennage. It's got a pretty good load on it, moving that tail, especially in flight. Next in commonly ordered parts are in the landing gear area. bushings, rod end bearings, the shock discs, as well as the shock links. That's the part that the shock discs stack on, both on the nose and the main, as well as all the attached hardware there. Let's take a minute to discuss the items that are unique to Lasar. We have PMA on a lot of items. In the landing gear area, we offer the steering horn upgrade for all models that has a clamp-on stud. The 69 and later aircraft had a stud welded to the airframe that in order to take the slop out of that area, you would have to grind off the stud, weld on a new one at the proper angle. That would be tricky. Where we have the PMA clamp-on stud that brings that stud back to full dimension, and then the mating part for that. These are made of better materials and offer a longer life of the part.
I hate to sound dumb, but could you tell me the name of those again, please?
The steering horn,
Steering horn, that's it. I'm still writing down the last one.
the part on the left, it shows a wood dowel in it, and that simulates the aircraft airframe that it's clamped to. The next thing that you'll see a lot of, and I know Kerry could back this up, is the aircraft's jacked up, and you take the nose wheel, and you get fore and aft play. It's not the lateral play that we talked about in the steering horn area. This is actual fore and aft. And it's not the bolt, it's not the bushing. I'll sell you a bolt and a bushing, but it'll do you absolutely no good. It won't take the slop out. The fact is that the pivot truss that the nose truss is bolted to has become hourglass shaped inside. The part's worn.
What's that called?
We'll get right there. That is fixed with our oversized bushing kit. You ream the part 5/1000ths over to clean up that bore so that it has a straight bore. Install the bushing that's 5 over on the OD, install the new bolt, problem solved. And it's priced very reasonably at $190, and it is the most high volume part sold day in and day out. There's some days I'll sell 2, 3 a day. While you're in the nose gear area, please get a copy of Mooney Service Bulletin SB M20-202. It's an old bushing that was, or service bulletin, excuse me, that came back, probably mid-70s when that came out. And it covered early serial J numbers back to the first airplanes made. And it talks about getting the spindle of the aircraft aft of the pivot point. Otherwise, the nose gear sits out there and acts like a shopping cart in the Safeway parking lot. I've seen aircraft leave the runway because of this. It's a $45 part, goes underneath the collar that helps compress the shock disc farther. When it does that, it moves the axle back and gets it behind the pivot point. The aircraft tames down, the rodeo's over, everything's good. We also offer nose truss repairs for those that get dented from oversteering, typically large airports with power tugs. They don't know not to oversteer a Mooney and they dent the truss. Factory max allowance on that's 1/32 of an inch, which is about the thickness of the paint. After that, it's supposed to be unairworthy. We also have parts that we offer that are stainless steel kits where you get the pretty chrome hubcaps for both the nose, the main gear, a tie-down jack point combo, and a tail skid tie-down combination. Always in stock. They're on our website. All you people that have been inquiring about the Wiser visors, they're on their way back. I'm currently taking orders. I have a clipboard in my office that has probably 35, 40 people wanting them. They're offered on a special website tag that we put on there. Dustin did last night. Thank you, Dustin. Where you can actually go on. Yes, sir.
What models does those visors fit? What model series Mooney's do those fit?
Typically 69 and later. And we're going to be taking orders probably for a short time more, and then I'm going to tell the manufacturer to make a full run. We're going to contact everyone that has contacted us and get them on the way. Next thing we're going to discuss is Lasar mods. They're on the website. You can come in and see me later, and I'll actually send you a printed copy out if you want. The number one selling mod out there is the Kit 131, the cowl closure. This is a lightweight, easy to install mod with multiple advantages. You pick up 4.5 miles an hour of speed increase, better engine temps, a better looking air inlet in the front of the airplane, and a hidden gain that we came up on this one that was kind of a surprise after it was installed. The aircraft got quieter inside. With that large guppy mouth that was out there on the early models, there's too much air going in there. Goes in, fights itself. There's a big burble fight inside of there, and pretty soon some of it has to spill back out, comes back out, bangs on the windshield. Well, with this mod, that goes away. The number two selling kit is the Kit 100, which is the flap gap seals. About a 2.5 mile an hour gain, greater rate of climb. It's another win-win. Number 3 and 4 kind of go hand in hand. It's the dorsal and the tail root fairing. I suggest they be installed in combination with each other to clean up that intersection when you get back to the tail section, both at the horizontal and the vertical stab attach. You can also hide the new 406 ELT flexible antenna underneath the fiberglass dorsal. It's perfectly legal. There is a Mooney service instruction SI 20-116 that specifically addresses putting the flexible antenna underneath the fiberglass dorsal. There's a drawing in the service instruction. It tells you exactly where to mount it. Please don't forget to visit our online store, which can be found at www.lasar.com. You'll see we are currently loading every item in stock onto the website. Should be done when it's done with thousands and thousands of parts in stock, but every one of them is going to be on there for you to actually see the part, see the price. The freight calculator is in there. We weigh, measure, calculate every part that we're putting on there so it's easy for you to purchase. And does anybody have any questions? Carrie.
Do you have a list of all of your kits from the Wiser visor down to the flat cap shields and their STC numbers associated with them?
We have the kit numbers, the STC, the actual STC number isn't on there, but the kit number is, full description.
So that way when people buy a kit, they can go, oh, look, it's covered under STC SA6160E or whatever.
Right.
And they know that this STC goes with an M20C through an M20F, all serial. You have like that kind of sheet you're going to put on your website so that when people go shopping for kits or accessories, they can know that their mechanic, when they show up with it, is not going to say, it's not STC for your plane. It fits a K model, not a J model.
Yeah.
You have that kind of a document that you're going to provide on the
Yes.
website. Because that would make things a lot easier for those of us out in the field that are having to be the bad guy and say, that doesn't fit your plane.
Yeah, why'd you buy this?
You got a hell of a deal, but it doesn't fit your plane.
Or you bought it and it's already on your airplane.
Exactly. So, are you guys thinking about doing something like that?
We can do that very easily. Yes, sir.
You have the small person, the vert fitting and the wheel well,
Yes, we do.
main axle there.
The little elusive one that snaps off all the time.
What's that?
Yeah.
You have them?
Yes, sir, we do.
I have lost the little pad square logo that goes onto the control wheel on the passenger side. It has the old Mooney logo on it. Have any idea where I can pick one of those up?
I have one in my desk drawer. It's $6,000.
That's not good. Can we negotiate?
I think we can.
Okay, good.
That's your standard answer, isn't it, $1,000?
That's right.
Then we negotiate from there. Well, there's free freight with that.
It's that good. To Australia.
Now you're pushing it. Anyone else?
Okay, I got one for you, Dave.
Yeah, Kerry.
How's it going with the new owners? I mean,
You see this?
okay.
So most of your business is probably the pre-201 models, I assume? Is that true?
I have R model, M model, S model, K model. It's balanced across the board, actually.
I have a 231, and the only thing that really scares me is that there seems to be, when I talk to my mechanic, he always goes, well, maybe that when we work on that part may not be available. For instance, the instrument light dimmer system I have had a transistor go out that's located behind the circuit breaker panel, and what I got from talking to people was you have to buy the retrofit kit to retrofit your dimmer system because that transistor is not available anymore. I was able to find one, get it replaced, but the theme I keep hearing from the Mooney is that, well, that's not available, you have to get the retrofit kit. That scares me, it's like down the road, what my question's leading to is, do you guys see more products coming out for the later series Moonies, such as the instrument light system, the rheostats, replacement parts for stuff like that? I mean, when you look at your business, do you see you guys opening up more products down the road for the later models?
The factory is actually doing an excellent job supporting older aircraft. The old JSN-1, a million numbers long, rheostat that was in the J&K models has actually had a replacement made now. And it's a bolt-in, very reasonably priced, like $30 or something for that rheostat for the lighting. So they're supporting everything across the board. There has been the situation of fuel pressure, manifold pressure, oil pressure transducers for numerous models, especially the ones that were made by Druck or Coolite. When I was out at the factory, I sat with Paul Keener, the head of the electrical department, and we talked about workarounds for that stuff yesterday. It is an issue. They know it, I know it, you know it, and they're working on it. Their engineers, God bless them, for the last 2 years have been focusing on getting the TN and the U models certified, and the certification process took up all their time, every one of them. And now they can start focusing back on these items that are an issue out in the field.
Can I give you another example before I stop talking? The circuit breaker the rocker switches on the instrument panel for the landing light, for the nav lights and stuff like that. Are those still made or
Yes, they are.
They are still made.
They've gotten quite pricey.
So when we talk about pricey items like that, is there a possibility that Laser down the road comes up with an option that's not $600 for a new switch or $300 for a new switch, like a Potter Broomfield toggle switch that would play, stuff like that. I think you were talking about the gear motors on some of the Plexus or whatever, and that scared the hell out of me when you said it was $24,000. I mean, I have to go back and see which one I got now.
Yeah.
So.
On the rocker breakers, Actually, Don Maxwell happened to be sitting in the same room with myself out there with Paul Keener and Steve Rue, the head of parts, and Don kind of leaned back in the chair. He goes, "Okay, boys, let's talk about rocker breakers." And the other one spun their chairs around and went away. And I was like, "Okay, it is an issue. They're working on it." They originally were made by Clixon, and then they had to farm them out to an outfit overseas. It was called ETA. Now they're back to an outfit that's, I think, here in Texas. It's called Sensata. Apparently, these people think they're gold-plated when they go out the door. They are addressing that issue and getting it back to reality, because there are the original early J models in the off-white, then they went to the clean white, and then they went to the black, and now they're back to the white. I know the M, R, S, and TNs all use a black-faced rocker, but they're working on the whole situation. And like I say, now that they're freed up and actually have some time, we're probably going to see attention to these areas that are serious things. Use your landing light 2 times every flight. Same with the boost pump. Pitot heat, maybe not. But the ones that get used all the time, the face falls off, you can't glue it back on. But it is being addressed.
When you say the factory is addressing that?
Yes, sir.
So is the problem mechanical that the face falls off, or is the problem mechanical that the switch breaks? Electrical that the switch
Both.
breaks? So there are other TSO switches out there. Why do you have to be dedicated to that manufacturer?
They have to be approved by the engineering department at Mooney to install in the aircraft.
But, I did lots of modifications to my aircraft with the DER. There are other ways to get a part approved to put in.
Certainly there is.
So, aren't there other alternatives? I mean, I can see if, landing gear, motor or something, that's a problem. But for a switch,
It all boils down to legality.
The other thing too is that DERs are not always available to anybody and everybody that owns an airplane.
Fact.
DERs are far and few in between across the United States, and they have specialties that they are actually certified in. You might have a structures DER who can't deal with your electrical problem.
no, I understand all that. You just have to find the right guy.
That's the problem, you gotta find the right
You
guy.
gotta find the right guy.
And there are far and few in between. I know this, and I'm sure Laser knows it too from doing their
But I'm just thinking,
Can you repeat the exchange? We can't hear you.
Oh, they're talking about hiring a DER privately to approve a part to put in your airplane.
in a similar Mooney model.
well, it may not even be private. I mean, if a company like yours, where you have many people complaining, I'm sure you have a DER that you have a relationship with, right?
Yes.
So why not take the initiative to find it?
Dan, does Laser make, like 231 interior plastic parts, like for the overhead? Mine are all getting brittle and, they're kind of starting to fall apart, and the screws are punching through, and
Actually, the factory is still making interior plastics for back to the late F models, all the J's, all the K's, up to current model. I have a full set of 252 interior parts sitting over at the factory right now that's waiting to get shipped over to Switzerland. Complete interior, every part in it, all the plastics.
okay, so they still make for the K model.
And they're very, very nice. Their plastic department out here is something else.
Do you guys ever see yourselves like trying to, produce parts to in competition with maybe lower the prices?
No. Our plate is pretty full as it is.
Understand.
So, back to your question there, Carrie. I'd like to take this time to, in conclusion of my talk about the time, to express my time with my experience since May 1st of this year. It's kind of exciting to be involved with the caliber of people in our upper management that treat me like I'm really important to them. The company, the level of mutual respect that we all enjoy while working toward a common goal to be the #1 Mooney Service Center in the world. I want to thank you for your time. At this time, with no further ado, I would like to introduce the CEO and the COO of Lasar, Mr. Brett Stokes and Mr. Caleb Brown.
Hello, everyone. I'm Brett Stokes, CEO of Lasar, the new CEO. We're just completely excited to be here. Our whole team, it's not just us, we're made up of a whole team, a lot of people that can't be here today, but are extremely excited about bringing a lot of new things, a lot of new ideas to everybody in this community. So I think there's some more information you're gonna get here in a second. Caleb's gonna walk through some pretty important stuff too, but I did get to meet a lot of you guys. I don't think I've gotten to meet everybody, so I really would like to. So if you get a chance to walk up and just say hello, that'd be great the next day or so. So thank you. Thanks, Brett.
Good morning. I'm about 6'3", and that microphone's at about 4'8". Hey, my name is Caleb Brown, and I'm responsible for, actually we're not sure what I do at Lasar, but I've been hanging out with the guys, and you know, there's no story to tell without starting with the story of Paul Lowen. And we just want to take a minute and thank and honor Paul. You know, Paul started this business 42 years ago when it wasn't popular and easy. And sitting with Paul and Sherry in their kitchen and living room, eating pizza and looking out over Clear Lake, we heard the story. And as we were thinking about whether or not we were going to be the right fit for Lasar, and Lasar was going to be the right fit for us, I asked a lot of questions, and I wanted to hear a story. And Paul Lowen told me a story that was captivating. He told me a story about Mooney going out of business several times, and Lasar staying the course year in and year out, and honoring warranty work and building relationships with people. And he said, you know, it wasn't easy very many years, but we stuck in there and we built a reputation that people trust. And Sherry made a comment that caused me to really look very closely at Lasar. And she said, you know, these people aren't customers, they've become family. We've known these people for 42, 43 years. And I thought, man, that sounds like something special. So we looked at it, and of course, Paul Lowen is a savant, he's a genius, he's the Picasso of this, or Rembrandt, depending on your opinion of Picasso. I'm more of a Rembrandt man myself. So he's the Rembrandt. I mean, he's built 31 modifications for Mooney's, and he's really made planes flying a lot better. We had the opportunity to hang out with them. We had about 140 people at the hangar there in Lakeport a couple of months ago, and we got all hopped up on chicken and cheap beer and celebrated 42 years of success. So Paul and Sherry, we just want to say thank you for your contribution to the industry. We love you and we honor you. Can we give it up for Paul and Sherry? Thank you so much. Now, to his credit, he's trying to retire and leave us alone, and we're so thankful that he's still local. So, as we look at the future of Lasar, I just want to take a couple of minutes and talk to you about what we see when we look out at the future. You know, there are muscle cars, and you look at a muscle car and you look at a new car, and which one do you want? You want a muscle car from the 70s, right? These new Chargers that Dodge put out, I'm sure that it was a nice idea, but if you want a real Charger, you got to get one from the 70s, right? So as we talk about the future at Lasar and where we're going, we're really, really excited about the next generation of pilots getting into some really cool Moonies. You know, there's a lot of you that are going to retire within the next 25 or 30 years. May not be flying your Moonies a lot longer. And it would be a shame. I think it would have hurt all of our aviator hearts to see these birds rust out or sit unflown. And so we're actively working with, and we have 5 people in our marketing department to capture the next generation. We're doing a lot of cool stuff with service, with mobile apps. One of the things that we'll allude to that's coming out in the first quarter of next year is you'll be able to download the Lasar app on your smartphone. And when we start working on your Mooney, you're going to get a push notification that says someone has just touched your airplane. And you'll be able to open the app and see what parts have gone on so far, what the work order was that you agreed to. And what I'm trying to talk our guys into right now is to put cameras in the shop. They're all telling me no for legal reasons, but we might sneak some cameras in, I'm not sure. And what the whole goal of where we're going and what angers all of us about the service industry is when people don't shoot straight with us, when they take advantage, when you end up with sticker shock. And so internally, our motto has become no secrets, no surprises. If a customer calls and says, hey, I didn't know about this and I'm upset, I metaphorically light the building on fire. I go absolutely ballistic. Brett and I are entirely too young to have a bad reputation. So we're working really, really hard to make sure that our service department is upfront, honest, that there's no secrets and no surprises. Our goal is that when you leave an experience with Lasar, you go, maybe I didn't get everything I wanted, but they didn't surprise me. There was no sticker shock, and I think those guys are shooting straight. So that's the goal as we look forward to the future. You know, we've got a lot of hot ideas, and I would say that the second biggest thing that impressed me about Lasar when we got there was the caliber of people. I've been involved in the software industry and political campaigns. I've done some really cool stuff. I've been really fortunate. When we showed up to Lasar, I walked in with my clipboard and my management experience thinking, okay, who do we have to fire? And to Paul and Sherry's credit, they built a team. We didn't have to fire a single person. In fact, the team has almost tripled in size in the 5 months we've been involved. And there are two people that are key to our success. Robert Brown is our general manager. And Robert, he is one of the funniest, coolest, most knowledgeable guys. He's forgotten more about the aviation industry than Brett and I know combined. And between Dan in parts and Robert in service, I'm telling you, these guys are, we're trying to figure out how to get, you know, an elixir for these guys so they can live forever. I mean, these guys are really sharp. They built great teams. Their people love them, and they're really, really key to our success. So while we've got some hot ideas and some mobile apps, and we're really excited about increasing our technology, when it comes right down to a successful business and a great customer experience, it comes back to a couple of dudes north of 60 that just know how to get stuff done on time, on budget, and treat people with respect. So I want to thank you, Dan and Robert, who doesn't get to be here today. These guys are really the core to this business, so thank you guys. And I want to introduce you guys to just a 90-second video, and then we're going to be out of here pretty quick.
Recently, a close friend of mine died in a tragic plane crash. While the cause of the accident is still unknown, it reinforced the fact that safety is still top priority in flying. My name is Brett Stokes. I'm the co-owner and CEO of Lasar. So I started flying about 23 years ago and actually fell in love with Mooney's a little over a decade ago. Got the opportunity to get into a partnership in a Mooney 231. That's also when I really got involved in understanding maintenance and the impact as it pertains to safety. The reason I purchased Lasar is deeply personal and emotional for me. Safety isn't something that should be left to just anyone. At Lasar, we hire the best and most qualified AMPs and IAs. We spare no expense at finding the best talent. We don't play games or look for discounts when it comes to the safety of your family or your aircraft. Bottom line is this: we're committed and equipped to keep your aircraft safe for you and your family for years to come. Thanks for considering Lasar. We look forward to seeing you in Lakeport.
So I'm not kidding when I say this. We're hiring, and if you meet a really great AMP or AI or sheet metal or fiberglass guy that's grumpy where he's at, please, please pull my card or Brett's card out of your bag and give it to him. I think we need to hire 23 more people. We turned away 29 planes last month because we don't have enough guys and the shop is too full. So I'm not kidding, we're hiring. I'm begging you, please. If you know an awesome mechanic, would love to meet him. So any questions about the future of Lasar or any of the directions we're going? Any advice for the new guys? Would love to hear from you guys before we turn the time back over to Trey.
When you opening Lasar East?
Lasar East, you know that? So his question was, when are you opening Lasar East? We got a phone call from a guy in Florida, and I'm headed out there in January to take a look at it and start to negotiate on the, so it's real tentative. So if you've got any hot ideas or good connections in Florida, we're doing a scouting trip in January. So, because there's so many great old birds on the East Coast that would love to keep in top quality condition. Because, I mean, Robert and Dan, these guys are just sharp. I mean, they'll do a great job on the East Coast. So, I know that was a funny question, but we're seriously looking at it. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
How was your response to your t-shirt?
Dustin, how many t-shirts did we ship?
700.
732.
32.
T-shirts went out. And how many are on the waiting list for the next one?
Over 60.
About 60 more are on the waiting list. So it's just kind of a fun reintroduction.
Good response.
Yeah, and we have them in children's sizes too. So I've got 3 little daughters, 9, 7, and 3, and they wear them around, and they're pretty cute. So, any other questions? Awesome. Well, hey, we want to thank you guys for flying Moonies. As we know, everybody here, they're the best darn airplanes in the whole world. So we think this is a pretty cool community of people. So thanks for letting us be a part of the new guys. Thank you guys so much. Bless you.